So, you think you know the Tudors? You know me, my wives, my temper, my music. The story does not begin with scandal or with crowns. Nay, it begins with a boy who had barely a drop of royal blood, and yet became King of England. Allow me to introduce you all to my father, Henry Tudor, later Henry VII. Let us be honest. My father's claim was optimistic, to say it least. Through his mother, Margaret Beaufort, he was descended from John of Gaunt, but through Gaunt's children by Catherine Swynford, the Beauforts. They were legitimized later, yes, but barred from the throne by Henry V. So legally, my father should never have worn the crown, but legally half the kingdom wasn't supposed to be killing each other either, yet they were. He was born during the tail end of the 100 Years' War, and the beginning of the Wars of the Roses. A dreadful time to be anyone, let alone a Tudor. At only 14, he watched the Lancastrians collapse. His uncle, Jasper Tudor, fled with him into exile. 14 years abroad, Wales, Brittany, France, always moving, always hunted. Yorkists sent assassins, negotiated for his capture, but somehow he survived. Father's luck was suspiciously good. It was my belief my grandmother's prayers worked overtime. Then came the long game. While England was using him as a bargaining chip, Father waited. He made alliances, he studied courts, he learned the patience that wins more crowns than swords. Then, when the time finally came, he secured French support, gathered exiles, and timed his return to perfection. In 1485 came the gamble that changed England. For in August of 1585, my father landed in Wales with no guarantee of victory. He marched east, gained support from Welsh nobles, and faced Richard III at Bosworth. You know how it ends. Richard charges, Richard falls, Richard loses both horse and life. My father, with one precise stroke of fate, becomes King Henry VII. And importantly, he dated his reign to one day before the battle, so all who fought for Richard could be declared traitors. Efficient, you must give the man that. To stabilize his rule, Father married Elizabeth of York, the niece of Richard III. Lancaster and York united. The Tudor Rose created, red and white combined, not merely a symbol, a political weapon. A reminder that under the Tudors, the wars were over. Father rebuilt England like a man repairing a cracked ship hull with no spare wood. He restored royal finances with ruthless care. He curbed the power of the nobles using bonds. He reformed the court system. He invested in trade agreements, like the Intercursus Magnus of Burgundy. He discouraged war and encouraged commerce. Thanks to him, the treasury was full when I became king, and I graciously took care of that problem. You would think one battle would settle everything, but oh no. Father faced endless threats. Such as Perkin Warbeck. There were many pretenders to the throne. They're not talked about as often as they should. There was Lambert Simnel, pretending to be the Earl of Warwick. He even crowned himself in Dublin. Perkin Warbeck, claiming to be Richard of York, one of the missing princes in the Tower. Europe supported him. Burgundy, Scotland, even Cornwall rebelled for him. But Father defeated them all. He turned Simnel into a kitchen servant, for it is believed he had been misled. Although Perkin Warbeck was not given that mercy. But to me, the man I remember, He was no warrior king. He preferred quills to swords. He preferred treaties to battles. And above all, he preferred security. To me, he was distant, but I inherited his will, his caution, and yes, his stubbornness. So, you think you know the Tudors? Now you've met the founder, a survivor, a calculator. A king made not by destiny, but by opportunity. And next time we shall go deeper to the mind of the woman who made Henry VII possible, Margaret Beaufort, my grandmother, the matriarch whose ambition forged a dynasty. And that, my subjects, has been the official episode 1 of Soap. You think you know the Tudors? You don't. I am doing a Q&A as part of this series, so please, in the comments below, do leave some questions. Or perhaps you may email them to me through tudorhenry58@gmail.com. Till then, my little subjects, I shall see you all very soon.